Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another Mindful Merchants Live. You guys know my co-host, the
Yeah,
Lone
where am
Star
I?
Picker.
This guy. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we got our special guest, the DC
There's this
Picker.
right here.
Hello. Thank you very, very much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.
No, thanks
John,
for being on with us.
welcome. We are grateful, and we planned this for some time. And we kind of say that because we've gotten a couple of hit ups where people are like, I'm ready to be on your show next week. And I'm like, we've been booking things. We're actually booked till next year. So we're
next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great.
Actually, it's kind of a unique blessing, and it's been fun. And let me just introduce our show is Mindful Merchants. We used to go by the Triple M, but it just wasn't working, and it was tripping up everybody instead of the Triple M.
Like, you don't want to call it 3M either. There might be an issue calling it 3M. That might be,
Good point.
Yeah.
But I think it's short, and it was helpful. Just like, oh, you guys are mindful merchants. I'm like, that's what we're trying to be, I think.
Yeah. It makes sense.
And just to let you know that, that was one of our missions statement ideas. The point behind Mindful Merchants is we're merchants, but also it is just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It just kind of simultaneously involves YouTubers. And that, because we're all about talking about this, and we're all in little circles and cliques. And I think we have a responsibility of stepping it up in this community. If we're here, we could talk about whatever we want. You could be this type of a reseller or merchant or this or this. And we're hoping to find more niches so everybody finds their uniqueness in their voice.
Sure.
If we can just find a little more mindful around, being mindfulness, around it, which can incorporate not just mental strategies of like how to do something, let's figure out the best way to do something and whatnot, but also mental well-being, which we like to leave that platform open. And we've had guests in the past talk about it, and it could be anything, from yoga to, if you got mental health issues, that's good to talk about openly, to bring the platform to a whole different level. But
I think, that's a really good point, because it's really easy. We use a verbal shorthand. We call it, we're resellers or flippers, and we put it in our name, and it gives us an air of legitimacy. We are here. We're doing it. The reality is I've been, for those people who don't know me, hello, my name is John. I go by the DC Picker, and I've been selling on eBay since 1999. I've been doing this a really, really long time. I like to say that I've forgotten more than most people know, but it has to be put into context, and I'll remember it, and then I'll give you the information. Now, all that being said, there is a very high rate of burnout, where a lot of folks will hit this thing hard, almost like a get rich quick or a gambling high, where they
jump right into it. Some of them before they even evaluate it.
Oh, they're quitting their jobs 2 weeks in, and that's it. They're in.
They're giving the middle finger to their boss, like, I don't need you. I'm Cotex.
I am an entrepreneur, and you're like, bro, you haven't got your first bill yet. Like, let's pump your brakes a little bit.
They're like, how am I going to pay the bill this month?
Exactly.
Right. So, for me, what has worked for so long is to almost be full-bodied, like almost. It never turns off. It never turns off. But there's sometimes it's harder for me to turn it off than turn it on. Like, it's always on, and I have to turn it off. This Black Friday type days and the holiday season is very difficult for me, because I'm looking for deals. I'm looking for deals all the time. I'm cranking this thing up. It's looking
bizarre.
For
you'll be shopping, and you'll go into whatever your local food mart is, and you're with your little kids or something, or providing, somebody has children, even not like, I just got to go in there and get something. Then you go in forgetting the milk because you went out with like this bolo you found,
right, because you went and spent 15 minutes at the manager's special section at the supermarket buying, 70% off items to flip.
And your wife's like, did you get the milk? Yeah, honey, I'll be right back.
My new thing is, and it works because of COVID, and I'm not laughing at COVID, but I'm like, oh, they didn't have it. Oh, they were fresh out.
I got to remember that.
Yeah,
I can't lie to myself. My girlfriend, she catches on.
They didn't have
their ass big in the car and go get the stuff.
Yeah, so
that's good that you're mentioning that, John, because like you said, we're kind of like in this different state, and if you're a YouTuber in your so to speak reseller or
Yep.
a merchant of some sort where we're selling ourselves here, but we're also trying to sell something to make, ends meet. Some people do it part-time, some people do it full-time. And it's intriguing to see those little, quagmires that just suddenly sneak up and you're going,
it is. And that kind of, so I do a Saturday night show. We talked about it off air. I do a Saturday night reselling show that I like to think is different than other reselling shows. Not better, not worse, just different. It's Saturday night. Most people want to take off on Saturday night and, watch a movie or do whatever and decompress. And I actually use my live show with the audience as my decompression valve. I call it a catharsis.
1 hour, right?
That's it. I do 1 hour, and it's the things that aggravated me, the things that got me mad, the person that got me mad, the things that upset me. There is good in there. It's not just me an hour complaining, but it's a decompression valve. And as I'm doing it, the most comfort that I get is when I see people in the comments writing, preach. Yes, I agree. You know what? You're right.
It's funny to see him get all worked up, isn't it, at times?
It is, because this is such a solitary act. Even if you're a husband and wife team, it is a solitary thing. You're going to the Goodwill, you're thrifting, you're picking, you're doing whatever. You're bringing it home, you're taking pictures. It's on your phone, the most personal thing out there. It's going off on your phone. So then when you have an issue, we all preach that you shouldn't be taking it personally, but it's hard not to. It's almost like
I'm one of those that does preach that, and it's only because it's easier to preach than it is to practice, but
100%.
Also because I'm with Luis here, my buddy, and it's like we talked about like what kind of show can we bring as a platform to our community, because it's not my community, it's not his, it's not yours,
Sure.
It's our community. And I went, why don't we do something that, is generally, which we were just, rambling and kind of beating around the bush, which I'm going to put a quick pause on, because Luis just told me, he's giving me code word blinking and stuff, that there is a ton of people in the chat. I would think we should say hello. And by the way, you guys, if you're not aware, DC Picker is in the house, AKA John. I can't tell you his last name. That is top secret. Yeah. And just so you know, this guy's information is the bottom link. And if you don't know him, subscribe to him, watch his stuff. But better yet, follow. And we'll get into this in a minute. Luis, go ahead and jump in, and while you're clicking up some stuff and then address them. We got a ton of people. So who was the first one here? Would you say? It was Wendy.
Wendy was the first one here. Hello, Wendy.
Hey, Wendy, thank you. She's one of our faithful followers. She's supportive, and talk about positive and a mindful reseller. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andy.
Shout out to Wendy. Good job.
Got Summers.
Let's do the clap.
Summer's here. Shout out
Summer's here too. Hello,
awesome.
Summer.
Awesome.
She's awesome too. She really is.
She's always here.
It's just like positive light. I know we talk about this, and I'm talking about all spiritual traditions, which tend to have some form of aspect of this idea around this fourth quarter, as we call it as resellers, but this permeation of light that kind of gives us a moment to go, like you saw John 2 seconds ago when he had this really great, thought coming up. It's like, it is that light bulb, but it's also that light that comes down here. Summers, thank you for coming. We have, help me out. Can you highlight? Yeah, how would you say this? This is Mimiku,
backed by Silver.
Hello. I love the little bunny thing there. Talking about bunny rabbit holes. We're going to jump down.
Tink is in that building.
That is Trish, better known as Trish, is wonderful. She did a show with me. She was very elegant and graceful of her time. We did one on. We tried our best to do one on ephemera, talking about it from a reseller's perspective. Janine, is that Janine?
Hey, Janine, yeah.
Welcome. Another clap. Let's do.
Janine. I should clap Nana Tink. Nana Tink is awesome.
Rosie's Closet. Yeah, she is. She's awesome. Rosie's Closet's here. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. And Simply Dana, thank you. E parla italiano. I think you talk it like this. She speaks
Simply Dana.
We write these. We got in trouble. Speaking of not being mindful, I'm going to say this because as mindful merchants, don't speak other languages in the chat if it's not English. God forbid, because that's called insensitive and it's not polite. I'm like, why? I didn't know we couldn't speak another language. Saying ciao, como estai? Somebody goes, that's rude. Then we got yelled at. We got like, slap my hand.
Slap in the wrist. Slap in the hand.
I didn't know the world didn't speak multiple languages. Don't get Louie
I have
started.
to apologize if we're going to be mindful. I have to apologize. When you get behind the mic, you guys can sympathize. Not all the thoughts come to, like your head right away. And I was like, I said it was just Saturday. And I was like, oh, you're reminding me of that girl who talks with the emojis. And I couldn't remember Simply Dana's name for the life of me. And I was like, well, she was nice. I couldn't think of her name. If
she does talk in emoji. So,
and I love it. I'm a huge fan. And I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, she's doing it right now.
That he sneaks in. Sometimes he hasn't done it in a while, but he's been a busy guy. And I always want to call him a kid, but he's this guy. He's finishing up his master's degree. Is Andy Sameta? I don't know if you know.
Yeah, him. Andy.
King of emojis and very naughty emojis, nonetheless. So we won't go there. But,
nice.
Thank you guys. For Westside Gary came in.
Gary, what's up, bro?
Shout out to Westside Gary. Thanks for coming.
So I don't know where our trail of thought went and what rabbit hole went down. Let's jump back into another hole.
Sure. I'd
We're
love to.
Caught up. Let's go.
I would love to
keep it going.
Hey, Luis, what do you got for John? I know you got you don't have to throw a fastball. You can throw him a softball.
Oh no, yeah.
I'll take a softball. I'll take whatever you got.
Give me what you got.
All right. Well, on a day-to-day basis, how do you take everything that's going on with reselling, personal life, and of course now we're in this whole end of the year, fourth quarter thing.
Yes.
And now sometimes it could get hectic. So what is your technique to kind of keep yourself balanced with everything that's going on?
Well, I have a textbook answer, and then I have the reality answer.
Textbook is.
The textbook answer is compartmentalize as best as you can. I like to designate a certain amount of time to reselling, a certain amount of time to YouTube, a certain amount of time. I shouldn't say a certain amount of time, but dinner time. We don't.
What
step
is in
on
our
dinner
best
time.
interest? Maybe I don't know. Not to put words in your mouth. But,
Well, I think it's putting out the biggest fire first. We all know that we have shipping deadlines and that sort of thing. Those help me relax when I know I don't have anything hanging over. Exactly. A prioritization is the key. But you can fall down the rabbit hole of listing. You're like, oh, well, this went out. I got another one. Let me go list this.
Honey, did you answer that email? Did you pay this bill? Boom, boom, boom.
And then you get lost. So I know that, and the way that it's worked out for the last couple of years is I go to my 9 to 5, I come home, it's generally reselling time. I'll get outgoing packages, get them together, do a little bit of listing, do a little bit of social media, and then it's out the door. I take my stuff to the post office.
What's with this social media stuff? I mean, I just love to sit there for maybe 12 hours in a day, but I can't. You got kids. As soon as you do that, have they ever caught you doing that? Have they? Dad, what are you looking at?
Well, yeah. At the same time,
you have kids, right? Is that
I do. I have two. I have two children. I have a son that is 5 and a daughter that just turned 3, and
lovely ages too.
They are. They're fantastic. I mean, they're a handful. They're something else, but they are really good kids.
You'll never get those ages back.
No. And I try to at least incorporate them in some way. There's a lot of times, I'll put them in my stories, or I'll make a post, or there's usually ending up at the end of my YouTube videos in the blooper section, because one of them inevitably comes in and ruins the shot. And instead of getting mad, you just throw them in.
You know what? Everybody loves that. I mean, that's an easy good one. You just throw a kid in or something. Yeah. I noticed. I think is that Kat. I think Kat, the nurse picker. She's gotten wise over the summer. She started putting her son more. People are like, oh, I can't do anything. And he jumps up in the middle of her live, which I love. But it's like, so what? You're a mom. Show the reality.
This is part of it. And this is part of it. The thing that was the old rhythm that we had about a month ago. About 5 weeks ago, we actually bought a house for the first time. And
congratulations.
Thank you. We're first time home buyers. The house was turnkey. It's totally fine. We're in the process of making it our own. So you throw that on top of the reselling, the 9 to 5, the kids, the parents.
Do you ever find yourself thinking in the future? I'm sorry, I keep cutting.
Oh, I mean,
oh God, we got to do this, honey. We had a year to do that, or whatever,
Oh, I was ready to rent a backhoe to dig a stream in the backyard for the winter. I'm thankful I pumped the brakes. Why did I?
What was okay? Then I saw something and I got a little confused, and I'm sorry, probably because I got a little sidetracked. But I thought there was a backhoe involved. And there was something about a cat, and he had something delivered. What was that all about? If I can just change.
So we're we're going in. So I started. So this is a great segue or a nice dovetail. So being that home ownership has taken over so much of my life now, I'm very excited to do it.
And that you don't have enough things to do.
Well, I decided to incorporate it. It's what I'm passionate about now. So my YouTube channel, we're doing a series, or I'm doing a series called "An Idiot Fixes Things." Like there are 1,000 how-to videos out there. Anyone can make a how-to.
Luis is like,
yeah,
I can relate to what he's talking about.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, why don't you come along with me as
I don't know what you guys are
bumble my way through home ownership in the first months or so. And so I bought a chainsaw at a yard sale.
Love
and
that. I watched that all the way
fix it.
through. Your
Thank
perseverance was superb, John. That's all I got.
There were hours that I
sucked,
cut out,
but it was good.
There were hours that I cut out, and I really did try. So the next process in An Idiot Fixes Things is we have an outside shed underneath the carport. It's a brick building, and I wanted to outfit it with wood and insulation and drywall, because after we had been here for about a week or so, a cat showed up, and we were like, well, I'm not necessarily an animal person, but I'm not gonna wait for
I heard your
to
response
suffer.
On dogs.
Yeah, I'm not a dog
You're like,
person.
dog people. You're expired dog biscuits.
Yeah, I'm not a dog person, but cats I like because they're like kind of mean and they go away and they're like, they're kind of cool.
A dog. No, you don't have a dog.
I don't have a dog.
No, he doesn't.
I do not. No, I don't have a dog. So the idea was I'm going to turn the outside shed into Smokey's house, Smokey the cat. And I put a cat door in. I'm fast forwarding to other episodes, but I've outfitted it with, I studded it out. I put insulation in, I put drywall up. I put a heated pad in there for him. I cut a cat door in. So I'm doing all of this stuff. So part of that was like a tease. Like it's literally, I had Home Depot deliver an 18-wheeler and a forklift dumping building materials over literally for a cat. It's a space too small for humans. It's a space too small to really be usable. So I'm spending hundreds. My wife has a good phrase. She likes doing crafting, and she's like, why can I buy it for $2 when I can make it for 20? And this is exactly it. I should have just bought the little cat house on Petco for $80, and I think I'm in like $800 worth of building material for the cat house.
See, but this is what people don't know. The DC picker may come off as rough and gruff, and has this like really awesome persona of like, this is what things are really, but he's got a heart, and I've caught that about you from the beginning. You're a big softie, and I know you have a bunch of compassion way deep down in there, because I think one of the things about I've noticed you, and I know I'm jumping in and interjecting every 5 seconds, but you have this persona that's called a DC picker, but then there's, as you get to know John, you go, oh, that's just John, and it's like in your form of dose of it's sort of like a bit of humility and a little bit of compassion mixed in with this, like, this is who I am. I'm just a dude that, and it shows that you got this warm heart as a reseller, and we all have the same kind of trials and tribulations, but I like the way you package things in a way, and take it as a compliment if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's like, there is this gruffness that brings out your context of humor. And humor is a good way of being mindful without being too derogatory. You can get through to somebody and go, and maybe there is a dose of like, what's the other word I was going to, I'm losing my train of thought with a nice little brain fart, is, it might come off as like just sneer, snide, sarcasm, but it's not. It's just, you're just being playful.
And that's where the DC picker and John overlap. John will give you the shirt off my back and all the right things, the charitable, all that stuff, giving stuff away, just whatever.
Builds a place for a cat.
I'll build a place for a cat. My kids come first. Just all those things.
Give your neighbor the expired dog biscuits.
I would have given them if they were not expired. I don't have a dog. They just happen to be expired. But then
persona of the Lone Star picker.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the persona of the DC picker at first. So I think it's almost inevitable that we're going to talk about social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can we dovetail? Can we
jump into
we are on it, right?
Right.
Jump into it, John.
So when I first started my Instagram, it was kind of like every other reseller's Instagram. It was lost in the crowd. It was like, this is what I bought and this is what's sold. And if this is what I bought, if you'd like to buy it, contact me. And in the reality, it was, I had 150 followers of fellow resellers. They weren't retail. They weren't customers. We were kind of using social media for information from each other. There was no buyers there. So I made the decision to change my Instagram from this is what I'm selling to this is how I'm selling it. Or and in there, my wife, who has a very big social media following, just as big as I do, bigger on all the platforms, Instagram. I beat her in that. But
in terms of doing what she does, or
no, her
you?
social media accounts are specifically like they're a mommy blog. They're like a how to be a mom, and she's really
well-rounded goodies.
Yeah. So she's like, you can't do just. Here's the picture of this paint bucket, this vintage coffee can. You can't do that. You have to show people who you are. So then we started introducing the kids and this experience.
Like personality, what?
I know, I got to do that. And I was really guarded about my personal life. And she goes, well, that's the only way you're going to be successful. So then that's why, hey, buddy, how you doing?
This is our other little up-and-coming Cali Reseller here. Hey, Cali Reseller. This is Louis.
That's my son,
buddy. Sorry, I don't know why I feel like I got to yell. Like, ah!
Sorry, John.
So as I started tempering that pot of people, as the social media started to grow, I started letting the being a jerk come out, but that playful jerk, like, oh no, why is this happening to me? And I started seeing people responding to that as well. They were like, oh yeah, the same bad thing happened to me. FedEx lost my package, or eBay didn't refund me or overcharge me. And I was like, I realized, and what Ashley was telling me, Mrs. DC Picker was telling me, was that it's true. You can't be clinical. You want to have that connection with the folks.
That's one of my big issues with trying to, like, I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing any more like how to or whatever, go picking videos.
Yeah.
Like, I can get that's why I think lives sometimes are like, let you loosen up a little bit.
Sure. Because we are now in it. Social media isn't new. We're not new. I mean, my mom and dad in their 60s have Facebook. We're not new to social media.
And maybe
anymore.
The technology is a little bit new, but
totally. But the pervasiveness, the fact that it's everywhere, and let's face it, we're being bombarded from every angle about buying things or some sort of money, some sort of advertising, or some sort of girl in a bikini holding something. As a side note,
but it's been there
I
since
was doing
40s and 50s and whatever.
100%. Now it's just our turn on a different platform. On a side note, I was trying to
and it's just talk about rabbit holes. That's the real definitiveness, is like, you got guys that were like selling cars, but they go to the school and saying, hey, get a free car ride, and this nice little cool Corvette, when it's like this little mini mobile, and the kids are like, yeah, can I go? Yeah, we'll bring. Then it's like mom and dad are like, hey, do you want to buy a nice Corvette? It's like, what? What just happened? I just got wally whapped.
And it happens, and it's kind of wild, because you can make money on social media. If you're big enough, you can make money. You have to get your numbers up and your engagement rate up, and you could be successful making money on social media. You better be good at analytics
and really just keep up with the show. The
reality there, though, because everyone has it and everyone's participating in it, it gets more and more extreme. It's like, oh, I bought this for $1 and I sold it for $1 million. And you're like, I can't keep up with this. As a side note, what I wanted to get at was, I was making these chainsaw videos about, and I wanted to kind of drum up some interest on it. So I searched chainsaw, #chainsaw on Instagram. And the first like 25 pictures were girls in bikinis holding chainsaws. And I'm like, I'm out of my league here. This has passed me by. It's just me running a chainsaw, and I can't compete with this.
Let me just stop you for one quick second. Talking about social media and kind of like keeping it all in the same train of thought. Your first baby is it safe to say, was it Instagram? Because I noticed your numerics are like really, really pleasantly a nice, healthy, bosom of numbers. And although you are still doing pretty well on YouTube, and I'm sure you worked your booty off over the period of it.
I'll be honest,
like a year ago, you were like, I'm kind of, getting back in the game here, with that aspect. And so
if I had it all to do over again, I would
going back to Instagram. I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
Well, if I had to do it all over again, I would have put more forward effort into the YouTube than the Instagram.
Really?
Yeah, because what I've found, and as in the time that I've been on Instagram, I've noticed that people don't switch platforms. Having 12,000 followers or 10,000 or whatever you have, it doesn't.
So no migration. You don't feel that the migration's there is easy.
Very little. I have 12,000 followers or so about on Instagram. And when I post I just posted a video on YouTube, it could be like, this is how you find free gold. I'll get 4 clicks out of it, 5 clicks, 12 clicks, like 13,000 people. I mean, obviously they didn't all see it, but I would have put more effort into the YouTube because I'm getting more enjoyment out of doing YouTube between the lives and the videos that I put out. Because what we have going on in social media, and people are keen to it, is that it is a curated view. It is the view that you want to put out there.
Very much so. Yeah.
So we have resellers that are like, bought this for $3, sold it for $200. Well, how long did it take to sell?
I was going to say, they don't want to tell you how long-tailed it's been. They don't want to tell you all the struggle, getting it in. Like, did you let it sit in your death pile for a while before it was longer tail?
Right.
Like the other 12
or you sold it to your mom, it wasn't like,
honey, I don't want this anymore. You want to resell it?
And that's why I was posting, and I get the most heat, like using a wrestling term, I get the most excitement out of when I post real numbers. When I post, these are my 90-day, these are my actual numbers, because you can't
savvy
fudge
viewers.
those.
I mean, in social media, people, I think the tendency is, and I think a lot of it has to do, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you got a different take, but like with especially our exposure over the last, like, how long has Facebook been out? I remember I came in a little late in the game, and I just remember it didn't take me long. Like, their max was 5,000. Somehow I got 5,000 people, and I'm like, who the hell are these people? I don't even know some of them, although I did know quite a few, believe it or not. It's like, I was like in the art world. I was, I had my own work criteria. I had family and friends and this and that. And then I made friends of friends, and it turns out it was a great social networking platform.
Yeah.
Now it seems it's a little too, I don't know. There's some, I don't know. I think a lot of people are turning away from that. And they use it just strictly for marketing now.
Yeah, and which to me, I could tell you from experience, it's a losing platform. Most people think that they get an eBay account, and the next thing they need to get is an Instagram account, and it doesn't do anything. It's a time suck at that point. Because the bar of entry is so low into doing this, that's no longer the gold medal. That's not even a medal at this point. Being successful consistently. I get excited when I see people, I've been doing this a year. I've been doing this 2 years. I've been doing this 5 years. Or I was able to pay my rent this month, or I was able to make a sustainable difference in my life because of this. Just getting in and saying, this is what I bought and this is what sold, and that's boring. I don't make those videos anymore because I'm bored making them. I couldn't imagine people watching them. I don't do my Instagram that way anymore, whether it works out or it doesn't. It's they are still my platforms, and the folks who like my stuff, I'm super appreciative, and the folks that scroll on by, they're okay too. I think that there's when you follow larger, because generally speaking, you start reselling, you search reselling on YouTube, you're going to find the Craigslist hunters, the Walter Blake Knoblocks, the Rally Roots, these big people.
We call them the godfathers of reselling.
That's fine.
I don't know if they deserve that name, but
right. You're going to find those people. And I don't want to say that they're having it easy, but they make it look easy. They've been on YouTube a long time. They've been reselling a long time. So with that natural comfort
they've been
level,
working a hard, long time.
Hard time. And because as a society we have memories of a goldfish, we only know what's in front of us right now. But if you go back and watch a Craigslist hunter video from 10 years ago or 7 years ago, you're like, this is trash. I would never watch this. But he worked on it.
He's amazingly, I just in the short period of time, I want to say it's probably been maybe a year or so, because I've always dabbled into the reselling videos, but I never had a heartfelt commitment. And then one day there was a couple smaller ones that really grasped my attention. And I went, they're not liars. They're telling the truth. And I was like, who am I to say that they were lying? I'm just saying, lack of a better word, it's like, you guys are telling, and it was still pitiful, like the editing sucked and everything, but there was just a truthfulness that kind of,
and then when you put that out,
right?
When you put that out into the world, they hook you, and you're hooked them. You have a connection now,
and you, like you said, you see them refining it, and
and it gets better and better and better. So folks nowadays are like, oh, I had 3 sales on eBay. I'm a reseller. I got to start a YouTube and an Instagram.
But it's not even that they had like the 3 sales. It's like that emotion that they put into it, and it's like they're in, like you said, it's really not anything that they can kind of calculate in a way. It's just they got to be very familiar with it in a way that they're putting their heart out. Like I noticed the one thing, like say for example, like we were talking about the Craigslist hunter. I remember last week he put out a video. He was like, "I'm getting a divorce," and I'm like, here he comes. Really good. And then I saw his latest video, and I went, "Yeah, he's dragging ass." So that's his heartfelt. Is his intention. It's like when you. Except I was going to cuss here. It's like when you lose a partner, I don't care if it's a business relationship or somebody, a good friend or a family member or a literal divorce. It's like that's going to catch the drama. And we know one thing about the drama in YouTube. People like it.
People love it.
To me, it's like, you know what? After like 4 or 5 kicking of the cans, and beating the dead horse, it's like, do you really want to live off of that? I mean, I can't watch the Kardashians for long.
No, I would be lying if I said I ever
watched
any of it. But I get it. I'm not a big reality TV fan, but sometimes in order to break through all the noise, to get the signal through all the noise, is you have to do capture something bombastic, have a title like that. I'm getting a divorce, and even though the thumbnail was him and the other guy, you see him and his wife, and you're like, oh man, maybe something did happen. Oh darn, and then you have to click, and you're clicking, and then you're in. And he's on there, and he's getting weepy eyed, and you're like, this is real emotion. This dude is legit. And
I was just hoping it was the parrot and the cat. I just was hoping the parrot and the cat split. That's all I really wanted.
Yeah, right.
I wanted drama.
Right. Well, I mean, good for him, Adrian. He's sailing around the world. He's doing what we all dreamed of.
Well, and when it comes to business, we know one thing too, and this is good. This is probably a good mindful thing for us. And I'm not talking about something extreme as such, and we're not just talking about him per se or any particular, YouTuber, but like when business is business, let it just be business. I think it was Ben Franklin said that when it comes to business between family and friends, you better just let business be business.
Right.
Let it be. And it's like, if we can't do that, and then you're already putting yourself on a platform where, by the way, the window's open, you could peek in once in a while. What do you do with that?
Yep.
So your new venture is that you're still working a job, but you're moving into a new home, correct?
That's correct.
What new ventures about that? So let's continue off with that.
So we went from a 2-bedroom apartment in the city to a 5-bedroom, 3 full bath on 5 acres out in the country. So with that, there is the normal expansion that goes on as a family, but then there's also things that we want to turn it into a farm at. By no means do I want to turn it into a farm, but we want to turn it eventually, get ready for the spring to turn things into the farm at. Really, am I wearing pants tonight? I am wearing pants tonight. I think that's a good question.
Good question.
Pretty soon you're gonna be wearing. We're gonna see him next time with the overalls,
just to make sure that my lower half is covered
in his pocket. All right.
That was a good joke, and that's the thing about my YouTubes. I throw little jokes in there, and only sometimes people get them, because especially if it's on in the background, like people won't necessarily know. That's a good shout out to Nana Tank. Good for you, hon. So, you know what? The real main point of the way that the channel is going, and it's not reselling. We got done saying how reselling content can be a little bit boring.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate reselling video. This is the fruits of Ashley and I's labor. Her Instagram money, my eBay money, all of this went into the down payment to getting the American dream. So instead of continuing on, we're going, I bought this coat rack at the Goodwill and here it is. This is it. this is what you're working for. It is a success story in and of itself. We wanted to do one of those HGTV intros where it's like, I tell women how to breastfeed and I sell garbage on the internet and our budget was $500,000. Like they do, like the meme is, because that was actually us. We are a success case through and through. So
but you did it, and you did it in a truthful and respectful kind of way. We're like, this is what it's about.
This is it. It was ground out, selling dog treats and headphones. And, I know the Rally Roots have a Tesla and they have their property there and they do that. And
they have a different business model. So
totally.
And everybody's business model is going to be different because your multiple sources of income are going to always be different. I think to every reseller,
Right. So what we decided to do was no. Well, I mean, because living in DC was so important, we're still in the DC area. We're about 35 miles from the city now, easy commuting distance.
I can assume we'll say Virginia or something.
We went on the other side of the river. We were from Virginia. We went into Maryland now, down into the country.
So you're a Ravens fan, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
We get into football here. We try not to. We stay away from religion, and we don't like to talk about politics too
Fair
much.
enough.
But it sneaks in there. So.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Well, let's give a quick hello real quick. We got Reseller Niche. Yeah, came in. Is that Mo?
That's Mo. How you doing, Mo?
Mo is Mo. I wouldn't say he's new, but he's an interesting guy, and he tries to do a little platform. I wouldn't say like you know, John, but it's like he does do these reseller talks, and which I think I like his perspective. He's got a different way of he asks very mindful questions in a way that are conscious. Like, maybe sometimes they're redundant, maybe but that's always good for us because. What else do we have to talk about? We're swimming in the same fish tank sometimes, unless we get to jump into a bigger,
We are, and there is a banality that sets in, but to me, that's winning. That's being successful when it's boring and you don't have excitement and FedEx isn't losing a package or you don't have to cancel an order because you ran out of inventory. To me, that's
my neighbor just texted. I came back home from a long trip, and I'm sorry, this is not about me, but it's like I just got home, and it really was already 4 hours have set by now. And I was talking to my co-host, and I was like, "Hey, Louis," he's like, "Hey, did you make it home, Louis?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And just as he's saying that, I'm like, beep, 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 beep. And my phone's blowing up. Like, did you get my package? Did you take my package in by accident? And I'm like, I just went, take a deep breath.
Right.
Just go, did you lose a package? Well, I said, I did find one, but it had my, and I showed her the label, Yeah. And I was like, I don't have your package. Did you lose one? In a polite manner, as opposed to, did you do it?
Right.
It's funny because when this is a stressful time. This time of year for not just resellers, but people like buying stuff and the buyers are like freaking out. I already had a couple of them come after me.
Sure. And that was my whole show on Saturday. If the folks in here don't know, I have.
Let's go there. I mean, do you feel like you want to touch on it?
Let's revisit that.
Sure. I mean, I had quite last week was
when you're thinking that up, Luis was like, he was like, Louie, you gotta watch John.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? He's like, oh, he had it up to here.
And it was all true, and it was all, legitimate, and it was all things that we've all gone through. And if it had gone in like a single thing, it would have brushed off, all right, cost of doing business, but it was just this repetitive thing. I had four, I think it was four cancels after, 4 non-paying after accepting offers. 4 people, we had to cancel those offers. I had a person accept an offer and then start asking questions about the condition of the product.
I love how you're like, man, I love when they try to, I don't get that. Like, do they think?
Could you send me more pictures? Like, bro, we already...
I got 2,000.
Right.
Yeah. I don't just have 10. What do you call it? I was going to say likes. Right. What do you call it? 10 stars or whatever it is on eBay, whatever your platform is.
Right. I didn't get to where I'm at feedback wise, screwing people over. Not my first picnic,
my first rodeo, as we say in Texas. It's like, don't make me draw my guns.
One of the other things that I didn't mention on my show, and I have mentioned it before, but it got kicked off again last week, is I have
make it spicy, whatever it is.
Well, I have an autographed copy of a print done by Gary Lazar, I think his name is.
I've heard you say that name before.
Yeah, and it's he's like a UFOs are real skeptic kind of thing, and he has a very good fan base. I have nothing to say about his content, but it's really funny because it happened 2 more times after I mentioned it the last time. Is that I have people messaging me about the authenticity of the item, and I laugh because this guy's whole thing is like dirt doesn't exist and air is listening to us, and like he's a conspiracy theorist. So his fan base is now doing it to me like, is this a real thing? Could you send me a certificate of authenticity?
So can you dissect like which percentage is like just doing it to nag you and what percentage is just really just messing with your head, or which ones really believe it, you know?
I mean, at this point, it's 100% of the people who have messaged me about it, asked for some sort of authenticity. One person bought it after I gave it to him, and then the other people just disappear after I send it off. Like they're doing it to make sure that, I don't know, I'm real or it's real, but they don't buy it anyway.
Here's something I think you'll appreciate. So you're from DC. I know you've had this knucklehead come to, actually, you and I were in a live or something, or we were talking and I mentioned it to you and you went, yes, I know it's on Cats. I think it was on Cat, the nurse.
Yeah.
And I mentioned, what's his name? Alex something Jones?
Alex Jones. Yeah, sure.
He's from Austin, Texas. Okay. And I don't know if you knew this, but he was in one of these movies that as a local Austin director did this animated movie. And it turns out, I don't know why he's best friends with him, but I guess they love conspiracy talk.
Okay.
But I met Alex Jones once, and I almost got fired from my job because I was helping manage this like small esoteric bookstore. He comes in, or actually a guy comes in, he goes, do you know Alex Jones? And for some reason I got him confused with somebody else. I'm like, Alex Jones. And I'm like, oh, I think I know that guy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it wasn't the guy that I thought it was. But I did know Alex Jones because they had stacks and stacks of his magazines. And I don't know if anybody knows this. Nothing but like propaganda, psychological kind of warfare, conspiracy theory down Poopville. And he comes in and he goes, can he just film in here real quick? He wants to do a little blurb thing. And I went, oh God, my boss, she found out, you let him in here, bad karma. This place is going to, you know, because I truly believe he's a little loony out there. Like, I mean, yes, he plays it off, and I think he would have been like stretching it. I don't even know if his YouTube's permitted anymore. I know
he's been banned from
Twitter,
almost
right?
everything. Yeah, he's banned from almost everything. Yeah. See, you know,
because when he asked
can't say that I'm a big
my video. Do you like? He's like, you don't believe me, do you?
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you asking me? I'm just a little guy, you know. What do you care about? And I went, truthfully, I think you're full of prunes. He got offended.
Yeah. Yep. I met him one time here in Richmond. He was nice enough. I can't say that I'm a religious viewer of it. For me, I often use it as a shorthand for conspiracy theorist or
it is a shorthand, like, isn't it?
I'll say, oh, we'll take that to the Alex Jones show or whatever. But the reality is that there's an audience. His audience is a lot bigger than mine. So even whether he's
or at least
saying
used
it or
to
not,
be. I don't even. Are they still around? Do you think?
Oh, InfoWars numbers now are bigger than when he was actually platformed before he got deplatformed. He's over on InfoWars on his own website where he can't be deplatformed, and his numbers now are huge. They're just as big now as they were before. But to me, I think that there's enough to go around for everyone. If that's your cup of tea, I'm cool with it. And I don't mean that in a generic, I'm trying to save face, because you guys know that I'm very opinionated on everything, but I really am. You know, if you like Alex Jones or you like the Kardashians or you do whatever, that's fine. That doesn't bother me.
You can't satisfy everybody, and everybody's niche is not going to be for everybody, which is why I adore. I'm going to use that word. Like, I adore YouTube, because it's a good thing that you get this like diverse plethora of like people. One of the guys in the live chat is Derek, by the way, Fundamentals of Side Hustling's in here. He and I have talked about this at length. Like, we got to have our own little like voices, you know, and within specific little niches or whatever, because, you know, and one thing I appreciate about him, he's like you, is he has his opinion. He doesn't give a flying rat's poop, you know, and it's like, with all due respect, and if you don't appreciate it, please unsubscribe to me.
Right.
Thank you. Right. It's nice knowing you. You can email me later. And
sure. And that's, I think, what the reselling community, at least on Instagram and YouTube, needs more of. It needs to stop being milquetoast and so nice. It needs to be stop being so nice. Like, it's okay to say, I don't like selling stuffies. It's like a running joke on my channel about people who sell stuffies. I don't do it. So like, it's a joke. And I keep pushing that joke out there. Like, oh, well, they probably made their money selling stuffies. It's a joke. But at the same time, the reality, John and both John and the DC Picker go, I don't knock you for your hustle. If you made money on it, good for you. Good for you. Yeah. But we don't all have to agree with everything that we're saying. We all don't have to agree with what niches work.
You know,
it would be very boring.
Can you figure out that a person's okay? If we're going to be conscious minded here as resellers, you know, and that's part of being mindful, is just being aware. Well, I mean, and be aware on all aspects, monetarily, you know, body, mind, and spirit. I say, if you can't figure out that this guy is just pushing buttons to play, you know,
I'm just breaking chops.
Get over yourself. Pick another war, you know, or whatever. You know, if you don't like his sense of humor, you know, like Luis and I, we talk about different comedians and stuff like that. Yeah. One, we had a common bond, and was like Cheech Marin was like, because he was my generation, and mom brought me to go see a Cheech Marin, but just don't smoke pot, you know. And I'm like, Mom, you know, it's like you're taking me to, you know, see a boobs movie with these guys taking acid and she's laughing the whole way through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like, but yet don't do this. This is not what to do, you know. But realizing that this guy was like a really rich, genuine comedian, and that he had, you know, a plot for everything, you know, and a way to write it. But you don't have to like him to respect him, you know.
Nope. You know, and in the beginning, when I first got on, I tried to make every other channel, or make a video that was like every other channel, and I found that that wasn't fun to watch. It wasn't fun to make. It wasn't fun for the people. The numbers didn't support it. So, you know, if
so here's a question for you, because I'm gonna we're cutting short on time. We want to be respectful, because I know you got other things to do today. So, as a reseller, or as, let's say a reseller that's a YouTuber or in social media, regardless of platform, give a set of 5, whatever. Give me one golden one. Give us your top 3, however you want to put in your. What can you give us to, like, for somebody who's going to rewatch this? It's a new person, and says, yeah, I think I want to go down that rabbit hole. And it's like, what would you tell them to help find their voice a little richer? You know, like, what do they need to avoid not to? You know,
sure. Finally, after 45 minutes, we're getting to advice. All right, awesome.
Sorry, it takes us a while.
We just met each other, so this is part of the warm up. But
you're coming on next week, so
that's fine. I'll do it. So for me, what worked, and I'm stealing from my wife, who was successful at this first, is in the beginning, you have to make a schedule for yourself. It might seem like work for you, but your viewing audience doesn't realize it. So Monday, you could write a piece of advice. Tuesday could be what's sold. Wednesday could be the kids playing in the mud. Wednesday could be, you know, whatever. Thursday could be a loss. Friday could be, you know, whatever it is, how much money you made. And then Saturday and Sunday are almost exclusively going to be personal content.
So regimen and schedule and sort of a consistency involvement.
100%. People don't realize that they're seeing it, but it makes it easier for you to make.
It's hard to be mindful of that when you're starting, because I hate to say it. I came in.
You just want to post all your wins. You're like, the cha-ching went off. You're like, oh man, let me go post this off.
I'll be honest. I was totally ignorant. Like, what the F do I really want to do this? And then I went, light bulb, what is your intention, Louie? You know, why do you really want to be here? Is it all ego? Do you really want to brag about stuff? Or do you want to, like, do you need to be heard? Why is your voice important?
And that's a great question. And that's probably number 2. You do have to figure out what you want to do with that platform. Some people's sole intent is to make money. It's just another revenue stream. I know Rockstar Flipper talks about making money on social media, building your numbers up, and you can make money on that. My wife
makes rolling their sleeves up. Look what I did.
You know? My wife makes a ton of money on social media, and it's definitely
but she doesn't brag about it, does she? She does what she does.
No, she takes that money, sticks it right in her pocket, and that's it. So that's the way that most of society is. But we're in this weird offshoot of reselling. We give ourselves validity by how much money we show that we're making or losing or doing. So we're not like the rest of society who doesn't talk about numbers or doesn't talk about their salary. We show off how much money we make. We have no problem talking about money, which is weird for normies. They don't normally do that. So when you decide that you want to get into social media with your reselling, Number one, make a scheduled content calendar. That's number one. Number two, figure out what you want to do with it. Do you want to grow it up just to make money and make money off of it? Same thing with YouTube. What is your point? Do you just want to interact with people?
What's your deep-rooted intention? You know, and if you don't know this,
what do you want
better
it to be?
figure it out.
You want to go meet a bunch of different people, get new sourcing connections, follow hashtags or the things that you like stuffies. If you follow,
you want to be the guy that sells those chainsaws and have models next to him. Figure out how to do it. You know,
right? You have to figure out what you want to do, and then third, without question, it should be 2 and 2B is engagement. I see a lot of people posting
glad
things
you said that.
and then let it die. It just goes out, it dies, and you can write a comment like "good job," and then they don't respond. Now, social media could really take over your day if you let it. So you can block off time. Like I started with, you can block off time and say, this is where
I've learned that helps me so much. It's like, if you got this little, like, well, I'm sitting here drinking coffee, kind of, you know,
if we're crass enough to talk about money, we're crass enough to talk about, I do most of my social media in the bathroom. I mean, that's the reality. Yeah. It's a dead time.
It's not crass. It's a reality. I hate to say it.
And that's what I do.
What would be crass is when you don't admit if you've ever almost dropped your phone in the toilet while doing it.
I haven't. I'm so anal about that. Like, I am so scared.
It's called don't go around the circle area.
I'd rather throw it to the sink before I do anything. But, you know, that's dead time. You could use it to be productive. You can write on someone else's accounts or a post. Great job, no job. What did you mean by this? Get engagement going. Just posting on a one-way street and just posting and forgetting about it is a loss. It is a loss of. It's a waste of time.
That's another reason as to why you're here. Like, if you're not here to enjoy the engagement, and what little I know you, John, I know you love to have a conversation. And I truly don't think you're in that conversation by yourself, or you wouldn't do a live, because you at least acknowledge folks, but you do I see you quite a bit. You're like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You were very
respond to almost everything. I'm not at the point yet. I see a lot of bigger YouTubers and bigger people with Instagram accounts bigger than mine, and they go, I really have to block off a time of day. I can't possibly answer. I'll try to answer.
I won't say who, but I've heard somebody go, hey, you know, I spend 1 hour. I'm like, why do you even brag about that? You know, it's like, just do it.
I mean, I have people commenting on videos that I made a year ago. That's my most popular video by far, and I still talk to them about it. There's no reason for me not to.
Speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and change subjects real quick. I want to say hi, Mookie Pookie. Said hi to you, Luis, and welcome here. Emily Conway was our first guest on Mindful Merchants when we used to call it Monday.
Super fan, Emily Conway. There is no one more supportive than other resellers than Emily Conway.
Realize it. I don't care how long it takes her. She's going to go far, because she is not trying to be anything else other than.
No, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome. I always call Emily the rock star. She's awesome.
Absolutely.
She's going to be my YouTube little sister for life. I love her and I adore her. And if anybody ever picks on her, come see me.
We got a problem.
We will rock your world.
Right on.
Well, because you were talking about it, I mean, you're welcome to stay on a little longer, but I know you got kids and you got stuff and you got a lot. You got that.
We can let the natural flow go. I'm still talking. I'm still sweating. I'm still into it. So
all of a sudden you disappear. We knew it was time to end.
I probably had to change my shirt. So
don't change your shirt here. Well, you can. It's like we'll sell like little video clips of it. Like at this point in leisure, you're gonna have to pay, to see John change his shirt.
That's only that.
By the way, you guys watched last week. If you didn't watch last Saturday, you almost get to see John naked, just a little bit. But then
I reserve that. It's called a teaser, and it's for my Instagram. Excuse me, it's for my OnlyFans. I ruined my own joke.
I have a very important question. You were talking about, like you said, you had people like almost a year ago. You're going to see somebody today on your Instagram put a little like heart. I don't know who that guy was. He's a turd butt, but it did I not notice though? I remember a year ago you had this thing called SARTHS. It's an acronym.
Right.
SARTHS.
That's
and this idea came on around November. It was about a year ago.
Just about a year ago. That's correct. Just about a year ago.
What does SARTHS mean?
Support a reseller this holiday season.
Awesome. You went right there. Okay. Yay.
Yes.
You know what? Let's talk about it. We don't have to talk. We can just say, let's talk about it. And it's not like we're starting it here, and it's not only here. It's not just for John. You know, it's just for like.
I had an idea last year. Let me take one step back. We talked about this earlier. Without sounding crass, my wife and I are doing very well for ourselves. We were doing better last year.
We were happy for you, by the way.
Yes, and we're doing very well this year, both monetarily, house-wise, health-wise. Everything's great.
That means you're
really
mindful
hit
about your
me
money. You
last
know how to
year.
manage it.
Yeah, well, it hit me last year. The eBay was doing really, really well. We were almost pocketing all of my 9-to-5 money. The eBay was paying for everything. And I said, I want to give back. At this point, I was sending people packages of inventory and I wanted to give back. And what am I going to do? I was giving away money on my YouTube. And I was just feeling it. I was not like Robin Hood, but I was really feeling the holiday spirit, the giving. I'm a giver, not a receiver. I love giving. And, I said, well, what can we do to my first idea was I want to do all my Christmas shopping on eBay through resellers. And she was like, that's a good idea. And we tried to do that. And the next thing was, well, why don't we get all of us to do our Christmas shopping or holiday shopping through resellers, and we can support each other. We're just handing money to each other. We're putting it into our own pockets. And to me, there was that meme, and it sticks with me to this day. It was a picture, and it says, when you buy from a small business, you're helping support a little girl afford dance shoes or dance lessons or something like that. And it really is true. That was the example that I used last year, and it's the example that I have now because my daughter is going through shoes like water.
Oh gosh, so, 3 to 5, yeah, forget it. You're gonna be going through, when she gets to a teenager, forget it. You're gonna be going through like 20 pairs.
Oh, I bet. You know? So my idea was try to post, whether it's a YouTube video or it's Instagram post or Facebook, whatever you're doing, to buy, say, hey, this is the stuff that I have for sale. And someone might see it and go, I'm going to buy that from you. You could still facilitate the transaction on eBay or Instagram, whatever you want to do if you don't trust them. But really spread the wealth out amongst resellers. Now, other resellers picked up on it. I know there was videos made where people were showing off what they bought from other people.
There's a trend this year, too, that there's a few people, I'm not saying they're calling it SARS, but they are doing buy from others, and let's say, which actually you mentioned this last year, was if you can, you kind of said it'd be nice if you can kind of let's focus somehow on the youth or children. But you also said something to the effect of, I don't know if you said Toys for Tots or what, but your discretion was not only buy it from a reseller, don't keep it, just say, hey, donate it.
Yep. And that came from Lonnie. What I did, excuse me, if we go back a year or so ago, Lonnie had bought a bunch of stuff from Lonnie Shed Flips had bought a bunch of stuff from the Disney store. And he was talking about how he had this dead inventory. It was like just life preservers, Disney branded life preservers. And I messaged him. I said, I'll buy all of them. And
hey, you're complaining? Let me buy them.
Yeah, I bought all of them. I bought all of them from him. I collected a couple other things that we had, and I dropped it off at the Toys for Tots at the Iwo Jima Memorial in Arlington, and that was my intent. It wasn't so much. It started out as let's buy our own Christmas presents, and then once I was like, okay, well, not everybody does Christmas, and not everyone has a lot of money, so I was like, well, just buy a toy from a reseller and give it away. It just, what is it, $15, $20? We're making money. We're all making money. I know there are people out there that are reselling to keep their lights on. That's fine. I'm not pointing out people who aren't doing it. But if this is the
two birds in the hand is better one in the bush,
And I mean, this year, with everything that's going on, we have millions of Americans that are out of work. Nobody talks about it for some reason. This year is going to be awful around a lot of Christmas trees if people are even able to get a Christmas tree.
I just went to the thrift store because today was like a special day and there's a special discount and whatever, yada yada. On the way home, there's this route I take. I was just to put it politely, I was overly flabbergasted to see this elongated line of people waiting for food, and they're doing it in caravan mode. And I went, oh, Okay.
Yeah,
These are people waiting for food.
These are Americans. These are
Yep.
people. These are supposed to be our brethren. This is not a political debate. These are our people at our most basic
This is
level.
just a fact of life right now.
It is. And you know what? As a dad, so it's also penance. It's also reseller penance.
I like that. Thank you.
The reseller penance is because back when I first started reselling, I would make money selling the hot Christmas item of the year, Tickle Me Elmos and that sort of thing, Pokemon cards. And I was ripping parents off that were just trying to make their kids happy. And now I have 2 kids, and I would give an organ to make my kids happy. So in order for me to like get back in good graces of St. Garbage.
In my community, we call that external considering, is where you kind of swap roles. And it's like you kind of see the perspective from, oh, now I'm the parent. I was the one getting, the organ, or now I'm getting removed, so to speak, as you're saying. That's it's a good way as a reseller. Like, so when we talk about like, don't take things personal when you see a buyer get, going off the cuff. I'm not talking about people that are trying to screw you over, but there are ways. There's this lady who just emailed me. She's like, I just ordered this. Can you cancel this? I think I ordered it twice. And for some reason she thought she ordered it twice from me. And I thought, well, I only have one product. And so she writes me, and then she writes me back like 2 more follow-ups, and I went, this is going to be an arduous one. I went, just breathe, read it. And it was just, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I do want the item.
Okay.
Well, can you remove the cancel? But it was like a big, but long story short, she ended up falling through. And I figured, I went, this lady's 98 years old trying to order some CDs.
Trying to buy things online. So that was the idea of using my Instagram and making a couple YouTube videos for the SARTs. I don't want to say it took a turn, because other people are going to create whatever content that they want. But at its truest form, SARS for me was, if I see Louie, somebody has a toy that's for sale, even if you don't have kids, buy it. Do the thing. Don't ask for a discount. Buy it from the reseller. You receive it. And in the course of your travels, now in the next 3 weeks, drop it off at a Toys for Tots or a charity. And maybe one kid who didn't get anything this year will get something. Number 1, you supported a reseller. And number 2, in a selfless act, kids deserve Christmas.
They do.
I wish I could
go
buy
one
a
step
gift
farther.
for everyone.
We can do this to each other. Not only can we, kind of like find an awareness of like, maybe if I can afford to, help another reseller, but ask them to do, like you said, and maybe even one step further is, if you're a reseller that has a lot of dead stock stuff that's just not moving, and it happens to be children related, kids, coloring books, whatever, give it away.
100%. 100%. That was the point of what I was getting at, because so now I put the onus on you, which isn't fair. So say I call or I buy something from Louie and I say, hey, you got this Barbie doll. Go ahead and ship it to me. Now you got to go to the post office. You got to pay shipping. It cuts into your bottom line. You know what? Don't. Keep the item. It's paid for. It's off your register on eBay. And you please go and put it in a thing. Now, we're trusting a lot. I'm doing you a favor by asking you not to ship it. And you could technically relist it in another month, and I wouldn't know. But really, do you want to get on the bad side of St. Garbage that way? Let's not do that. The reality is,
just say, hey, keep the shipping and handling. Use it for gas, but make sure you drop it. And if you can, throw in an extra one.
Right. And that was the point of SARS and supporting a reseller, and in a non I don't know, in the most altruistic way, in the most giving it away way, was that's the way that I envisioned it. Some people did it last year. I say we do it again this year.
Being altruistic is something that's not just deeply, richly, for us to like come up with and think that it's, oh, look what I'm doing, and I'm not saying that any of us are, but like, don't fall into that little trap, but do it selflessly. And like you said, don't ask for any credit and do it because it goes back thousands of years. I think it was in the Indian tradition. They have this thing called Seva, S-E-V-A, which means selfless giving. Just do it.
Right.
Because your heart wants to. Your intentions.
They still have that. It goes back, but there's they still have that. Sikhs
some people call it Christmas. Some people call it whatever your holiday tradition. It falls in some form of light. It's like you said, do it because it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. It feels better than almost anything as far as reselling goes. Giving a kid a Christmas gift. who may not be able to swing it. I mean, what is better than that? We make money, we spend money. Now is not about. People don't put Christmas lights up for adults. People don't put Christmas trees up for adults. They do it out of force of habit, and they're doing it. But the reality is this month is child centric. We have the picture in our head of Peanuts of little kids ice skating. It's not adults. It's not dogs. It's people. It's little kids doing it.
But
this month,
sales and marketing firms and and whatnot. Not to kind of go there. We can get into the critical aspect of this, but we know what this season really can do, commercializing it.
Right. And so the marketing folks are going to market everything to everyone to get their hands in everyone's pocket. But let's face it, Susie getting a Barbie doll or Bobby getting a G.I. Joe doll, I'm probably dating myself, and them smiling for a day, an hour, a week after it. And what did it cost you? $7, $15, $20. Half of us are addicted to Starbucks. We spend $5 on coffee anyway. And to do that and then have the added benefit of supporting another reseller so that they're able to stay in the game for another year.
Well, I'm a firm believer in, and not to get all, yoga-fied here in terms of like Indian or Eastern tradition, but it's like I believe in karma. I really believe that there is this kind of spirit that's going to come back and bite you in the butt, But
are you familiar with Saint Garbage? Do you know who Saint Garbage is?
Wait a minute, go ahead, recap.
Okay, well, not everyone does. I didn't want to put you on the spot because not everyone knows. I want to say I know. But people who listen and watch my channel know that I believe in Saint Garbage. Not in a anti-religious, it doesn't replace the false idol or anything like that. But Saint Garbage is the patron saint of picking. Saint Garbage is who watches over your shoulder as we do our reselling business.
He's the one that found the coins in the fish's mouth. He's
the one who has another reseller walk past you at the Goodwill and they left something or they didn't see something and then you scoop it up right behind it. He's the one that the mailman comes an hour after you get home from work. You say, "Thank you, Saint Garbage. You didn't make me wait or around." Saint Garbage in almost every aspect is who I thank when it comes to it because I think it's a little uncouth thanking God about money stuff. So I took it off and I put it on Saint Garbage. And there's a lot of karma that goes into Saint Garbage. There is a lot of it.
And that's a good point because there are a lot of saints out there, and I mean good and bad, and I think you can testify. You've been in the political area of demographic. You've probably passed by a lot of politicians that are really good politicians. They're there for the betterment of
they're almost all bad drivers, though. I can tell you that. That's what you get when you live up here.
We'll talk about that on part 2. But
So when I say a little prayer to Saint Garbage before I go out, I say thank you to Saint Garbage when things reselling go my way. Somebody doesn't ship back their return before the return date and the return closes. You say thank you, Saint Garbage. Thanks. That's one that broke my way. Saint Garbage is someone that we can say thank you and appease. Sometimes I'll give stuff away like Pele. We're throwing the liquor at Pele. I'm like, no, I'm throwing this away. I'm appeasing Saint Garbage. So it's something that we can as resellers hope and wish and pray on because when I saw the title of the show and I was talking about mindfulness, I was thinking about mindfulness that we were going to talk about it. You're obviously very well educated on this sort of thing, but without having the ability to verbalize it, you need something, a third dimension or a fourth dimension to something to kind of wish and pray upon. When for example, what was it? A couple weeks ago, I had bought the PlayStation 5s and I wanted to flip them. And I was really nervous. I had a lot of money tied up into them. And I'm not going to pray to God. I'm not going to pray to Jesus. That's not right. That's barking up the wrong tree. But
he's like, hey, you guys invented the money thing.
Yeah, he's like, you did that on your own.
Well, not to get religious, but there is an old saying, let Caesars be Caesars. And,
Yeah. And so you say a prayer to Saint Garbage. Saint Garbage, please let this thing get
You
this thing
reminded
out.
me of an old thing when I was a kid. I mean, Luis, I want to hear yours. What is like one of the first toys? And I want to hear from you, John, too. What was one of the first toys that you remember that stood out? Like it had to be in the 70s. I was like a really young kid. And I do remember one of the brand new toys my parents were able to buy me was, guess what? It was Oscar the Grouch. That was our piece.
Do you think I'm making this stuff up?
Yeah.
Do you think I'm making this stuff up?
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
I'd love to see that
you
shirt and say patron saint of garbage. People will not get it.
No. I want to make them, and then we moved, and I don't know. I feel funny.
We'll get sued by Walt Disney if it's owned by them. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, Saint Garbage. Saint Garbage is real. He guides our hand. He's someone we could say a prayer to.
Why not? We got Saint Christopher of travel. We got them all.
Right.
Yeah.
And a saint is a person. I believe. I truly believe it's just a person that does. People think, oh, it's got to be of the word I'm looking for is mysticism. Mysticism is an awkward word to define, but like when you talk about a miracle is just a genuine, gift that you're giving to somebody else, and it could be just out of pure love.
I think that whatever. Emily brings up a good point. Another example. This is true. This is something else that I would talk about, where I would think about an item that's been on my shelf for like 6 months, and then I would talk about it on the show, and it would sell. And be like, this is just too weird. Boom. It's Saint Garbage. Yeah. And now, if you notice, some big resellers have little things like that. Commonwealth Picker has the little dolls, the Enema Man or whatever they are. Yep. It's not exactly an idea that's fleshed out, but it's out there. And
but the archetype is there, and it translates. We put it. He puts it in a more modernistic, and sarcastic kind of like,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that idea of Saint Garbage because you can playfully, not touch upon, like, for anybody who's not deeply religious or religious, but you can be, you can't understand the spirituality of it. Yep. There is a spiritual
there has to be
kindness.
There has to be inside there, and inside these little business transactions, these little mini transactions, like I started with. It's still you. There's still a connection.
It's not the Grinch. It's that little light in the Grinch,
Yeah, and there's a connection there. And whenever there's a connection, whenever you have particles flowing past each other, you're gonna have things that are coming off. Magnets, electricity.
Physics is true. People don't get it.
And we needed something. I needed something. We used something. It is Saint Garbage. Saint Garbage.
I think you made another connection there. I didn't realize was the Grinch is actually the grandfather of Oscar the Grouch. I don't know.
Is he really?
They're both green and they're both hairy.
That's true.
I don't know. Maybe there's some lineage there of garbage lovers and sticklers.
Saint Garbage is real, guys. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't have a physical manifestation at this point. At one point, Ashley made a
but it's like any deity, we tend to like carve wood out of them and we put them up on a pedestal, and we quickly we want to identify. It's like, what happened to the Aztecs. Christianity brought in all these saints and they had to translate them all of a sudden. And it's like no, you can't look at your version of the Virgin Mary. You got to look at this one or something. But we do this as resellers too, and we had on a couple weeks ago a guest, Christopher Yen. He Daily Refinement. I was watching one of his videos from about a year ago, and he says, "What is your deity? What is your deity?" And he goes, "I don't mean it's in a religious way." I'm like, "What are you worshiping in terms of like your resellerness? It's like, are you going to put all this investment into this or that, or what strategy?" He was really, he took off on this really unique tangent. It sounded esoteric, but it was like it was a firm belief. Like, where are you here in terms of how you're going to migrate your ability to refine your reselling ability.
So Yakov brings up a good point. He says there's no saints in Judaism. So this is completely non-pious. We're not trying to have anyone go to the afterlife worshiping a false idol. This is
we're talking metaphorically,
right? Metaphor, There's no piousness to this whatsoever. But for picking, I needed someone to say a little prayer to. I invented Saint Garbage. My wife is a fashion designer and a graphic designer. We'll get her spun up.
She's an artist.
Yeah. She's got it in her. So we'll go ahead and we'll get her designing up some Saint Garbage stuff again.
Awesome.
Rebel Junk, shout out.
Hey, Rebel Junk.
Yakov, thank you for coming in too. Nana, you've been holding up this live so well. We thank you for barely. Hyphy Gold is it? Look, Hyphy out of California. If you guys don't know him, follow him. This guy is savvy. He's got a fire in his heart. And actually, there's just every single one of you guys. I think I've talked to you in one form or another, either live like this or in a private conversation and in text. And I just want to thank you guys. This is Mindful Merchants. It's Monday. Our guest is John. Please make sure you guys reach out. Ask him a dirty question once in a while.
Sure, you can ask me whatever you want.
You know,
but before you do that, I want you to like, subscribe, follow, and then write a letter to your grandma telling her that you're like subscribing and following so that she could go ahead and do it too. But like a week has gone by because it took her, that long to get the mail.
To do it,
yeah. And I would really, really be appreciative of that. That would really, really make me happy.
There you go, guys.
John, I could talk to you for another hour, and I'm sure we both can just.
I get a lot of that. I get that. Yeah. When I have guests on my show, it ends up just turning into a conversation. What one of the more disappointing things? Let me preface again. I don't mean the death and destruction, but one of the more disappointing things is that a lot of the relationships that have come out of YouTube and Instagram and social media. I had it in my head that we were going to meet up. I have no problem traveling. We would have, hung out and had a beer and stayed at a restaurant, ate at a restaurant and stayed in each other's cities and hung out. I'm kind of aggravated that, we didn't get to do that this year. So we're going to maintain through another flu season. Hopefully next spring, things start turning a corner and we're able to meet each other and we could sit down and do this together all night. We could just talk reselling and we're doing it in snippets now to almost keep ourselves satiated.
In the day we'll come. We don't know. And maybe it's not necessarily a year or something, but just I have this concept that a tight circle that's in my outer world out here and not in the cyber world. It's like we have this thing of planting a future memory. It's called planting, like you're planting a seed. Plant a future memory and it will happen. It's like a wish,
That's so funny you say that because when I get together with my parents are homebodies. They're not old by any means, but they're empty nesters and they're like, whatever. I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, come on, we got to get out of the house. We can't just sit here. Come on, let's get out. I got the kids. I got my wife. We want to do stuff. And the way that I can able to get them out of the house is I don't know what we're going to do, but we're about to make a memory. And they're like, all right, I'll go get my shoes on.
And that's really what it is. It's a memory. But by saying that, it's that true deep experience that not only will you get to carry on the photographs and the whatever, and then your children
experiences watching my dad pull the cart up the beach, like after Labor Day, and my kids are running around. I mean, these are memories.
Remember when you grabbed the wrong cart and it wasn't yours, and that guy was chasing you?
I mean, all these things that we get out of our comfort zone and then we end up making memories. And I had planned on this summer being able and maybe traveling to Chicago and meeting Craigslist Hunter or Florida and doing a Florida reseller meetup or Austin. I got friends in Texas. Not only do I have friends in Texas, I have friends in Austin that I could sleep on their couch like a true reseller and not spend any money except airfare.
Austin, we are cheap bees, big capital B's. No, and Austin is a one big changing demographic. We got a lot of guys from California, not Cali Reseller Luis, but he can tell you, like, was it back about 15 years ago? There was that big economic struggle that was going on. A lot of people are just up and leaving, especially like around the LA area. And they went, Austin, Texas, affordability. And they were like buying 2-3 homes.
Yeah. Now, Luis, where are you in California?
I'm in a city called Ontario, California. It's about 25 minutes away from downtown LA. So I'm in Southern California.
Is Hayward there? What's in?
No, Hayward's more central.
No, the company Hayward.
Oh,
Ontario. I know. I used to buy a product.
I think it is here, Hayward. I think their DC's out here.
Yeah. Okay.
What do they do?
Oh, that's cool. This was a parts, like plumbing parts.
It's a plumbing parts company.
Yeah. I think Ontario. I think they're on Ontario. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
I think they are.
You guys are right on it. So.
Yeah. And listen, I would come out to the left coast too, but I don't know. It seems even crazier than Washington. I think the only place in the country that's crazier than Washington right now is like the state of California. Is it still on fire? At one point, it was the whole state was on fire.
Simmering down.
Okay, no, it already calmed down.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
You guys had your rains finally come in. I think it was. Yeah.
Great.
I grew up in Central California, so Luis and I have a lot of Cali relations.
Okay.
It's like we talk about, but it's a whole different thing. And I moved to the East Coast probably back in the late '90s in the New York region. And boy, I'm telling you what, talk about getting your head wrapped around a West Coast mentality versus an East Coast mentality. It's totally a different pace. You know, there's a lot of different colloquialisms and things you got to kind of used to, and also the diversity I loved, so that made it easy for me. You know, I was just like, oh, it's wonderful. But as far as reselling and, you know, taking all those attributes and stuff, it's a different type of thinking there, I think, in some ways. Yeah. There's a kind of a strategy. It's still you're a reseller, but you know, there's different techniques.
Everyone has an angle here. Everyone has an angle, and they're trying to figure it out. And you see it more so, I should say, no better place than a Facebook marketplace in a city. Now, my parents live in New Jersey, and I live here in the Washington, D.C. area. So I have two major metropolitan areas that I can Facebook marketplace and have a connection like that. Could you go and pick this up for me? You know, et cetera.
Yes.
And the incidences of people on Facebook marketplace charging more for something used than I could go to the store new to buy it for in those two cities is unbelievable. Like,
I've
this
noticed
is $100 item and it's $130. Like,
I don't care if it's a roll of toilet paper. We got it for $17.99. Oh my God, you know, it's like, come on.
You know, I messaged them. I'll message them all the time. Like, you know, I go to Home Depot and get that for $99. Like, what are you doing here? And then like big bold letters, no negotiating. Like, I hope you like that thing sitting on your shelf.
We are the new convenience store. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's craziness. Did you grow up in the Garden State?
I grew up in Brooklyn, moved to New Jersey when I was about 16.
Now I'm sensing I get the lingo jingo here. Yeah, I'm getting it from where I lived in Park Slope, and for a long time I was in Greenpoint. Believe it or not. It's still Polish.
Well, I was going to say this was back when you could afford it, and I don't even know how much you make, and I know you can't afford it.
Well, I didn't buy it, but I did. I was living off close to the piers at the very end. Nice. So I was in the arts for a while. I had my master's in art. So we, you know, once all the artists move in that area, it starts getting gentrified.
Yeah.
And it was like our favorite place to smoke cigarettes and drink coffee was a place called Maria's, and we got the best pierogies. Could stay there all night. And,
tremendous.
You know, it was crazy, and it's like all of a sudden, you got to get out. We're gonna make this into, like, you know, 7 homes or something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what?
It's crazy now. When I grew up, Yakov is asking. My dad actually grew up in Midwood, and my cousins live in Mill Basin. I grew up in Marine Park and Sheepshead Bay, and then moved to Southern Brooklyn, South Brooklyn, and then we moved to Jersey, the Jersey Shore, like I said, when I was like 16, and then we moved all over. I moved back to Long Island. I lived in the Caribbean for a little while, and then we settled back here in Washington. And
so you've been around the block.
Yeah, I really wouldn't do anything different. Did all sorts of traveling in between there. Got to, you know, see the world for what it is. Awesome. At least I should say I saw the country for what it is, and I love it. I love everything about it. I love this country. I love the people in it. The people are fantastic, and it goes back to what we were talking about, man. If I can support or I can help anybody, I would do it. I would totally do it.
And I think that's a good reminder here. You know, being that the show, we're calling ourselves Mindful Merchants, is just remember to reach out to each other. Not only like if you got a little struggle, I'm not saying don't chew somebody's ear off just to complain and tell a story, but if you do need, you know, like help, like advice, like, you know, I don't know how to go about selling this, or, you know, I got this dilemma. Do you have any input?
I have said that on every and any platform. If you have a question, I got all the time in the world for you. Yep. If you're just calling to bother me, I'll get to it when I get to it. But if you have a request, a question, if your sentence ends with a question mark, I will help you in any way I can. I had a kid reach out to me. You got to respect his hustle. He reached out and he's like, I'm 14. Yeah, okay. He's like, I'm 14. I'm a reseller. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, could you shout me out? I was like, I don't even know you.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I was like, I don't
he
even
comes
know.
on here sometimes. He's a great kid. There's a word somebody used one day about him, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like, yeah, he's got it. You know, he's gonna hear no. He's gonna hear 199 no's before he gets to that 100th one. I heard that he's been blocked quite a bit.
I'm sure. He was very nice and polite to me. I said no, but I said no, but I can help you with any advice that you need, and I will do that. Any help?
And he listens. He does listen. He will listen.
He does.
Yeah. He's a really good. I don't even mind mentioning his name, but I won't, because you
does it start with an O?
Yes.
Well, that's his business name. It's Chuck something.
Yeah. That's all I know.
But his real name is not that. But,
okay.
And then, like, when I first met him, actually he was being introduced by Christopher.
Okay.
I don't know if Christopher was the first one who did it, but Christopher we're talking about Daily Refinement, by the way, and go check his channel out. And once again, if you're not subscribed to DC Picker, do this right now.
Please do.
You need to stop in the middle of this conversation
and start writing to your grandma
and start writing to your senators in Congress. So
write to them too. Have them like and subscribe.
Yeah, this young, he just what's not vivacious. I don't know. He just got like. He's got
and vigor. He's got a little fizz in him. I can respect that.
Yep.
I can respect that.
But I will say this much. I felt like I was playing the big brother uncle, and I went, let me give you a couple suggestions. I'm not giving advice. Just don't take it as advice. If you want this, and I know, take it. And if you don't listen, just don't take it wrong if somebody yells at you.
Sure.
Because I said, I love your drive, but I said, he's like, well, how do I get my numbers up? And then I'm like, it's not about numbers. It's not about numbers. Right. He's like, you're almost at 1,000. I'm like, I don't really give a crap, And I'm like, I do, but I'd rather have faithful followers and only have 200 than I would 1,000 that are, And
it's a common saying that all you need in life is 1,000 true fans, and you could be successful in doing anything out there. You need 1,000 good fans.
I said, do you really want numbers? Then I'm going to tell you something. All this energy that you're affording yourself to go ahead and you're spending 15 minutes at a time writing every single reseller. Why don't you just go on there and write an authentic and just sincere, hey, I like what you did. Congratulations, because there's not enough posts that explain.
Well, the problem is that a lot of these social media gurus are telling these kids to do that. You have Gary V going out there and being like, just message anybody you want. And they're going to, and it gets disheartening, especially as 14, 15 years old. You're going to hear no. Like, you're supposed to be hearing no to prom, not business ventures at 15. Not that there's anything wrong with what he's doing, but maybe you shoot a little bit lower.
It makes you wonder, like, do you have a parent that's wanting you to be a doctor, by the way?
Right.
Go get stoned,
Right.
No,
there girls you can be chasing? Worry about money later.
Yeah. But
all right, listen,
I
we're coming up on an hour and a half. My butt is falling asleep. I only do an hour on my own show. I'll make you guys
for
this
being
promise.
Here. Everybody give a big hand to DC Picker.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah,
I'll make you this promise. I know you're booked out until next year, which is like see you next year. It's only 3 weeks or 4 weeks away.
Maybe
you want to do something in the spring a little earlier. We can
summer.
really get into some nitty gritty. I consider this one an intro for us. You want to do it again? Let's do it again.
We can kick the ball back and forth and come up with a really interesting, like, hey. This would be a good one right now to talk about.
Yeah, man. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I really, really appreciate it.
We've been on too long, and my butt's going nuts.
My butt is falling asleep.
Yeah,
everybody, don't forget Saint Garbage. Don't forget to subscribe to John.
I dropped his link already on the chat.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem, John.
Right.
And
I have an Instagram account where I keep track of some of my reselling, some of my family. My YouTube account is some reselling, some family. I do a live show every Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern, where it's a little bit adult. It's not X-rated, but it's definitely R-rated.
It's a little late.
Yeah, it's a little R-rated. Right. Some people come in and have a drink, and sometimes we have guests, and it's more me pontificating.
Just pretend you're at a bar.
Yep.
That's it. That is it. I should rename the show Just Pretend Like We're at a Bar, because that's what it is. Rebel Junk says all hail Saint Garbage. I couldn't think of a better way to end it, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Maintain your focus and elevate everybody. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys on the next live on Monday. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.